Josh Pate gave us a college football playoff fantasy bracket, and I was just fine with it until he decided that USC and Lincoln Riley were going to walk into Norman and somehow survive one of the most toxic college football playoff environments ever even imagined. It's Big Monday. Let's talk about it. Good morning, and welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Big Monday. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of Hall of Fame College Football. We're going to get into this conversation that I intended to have this morning about the toxicity of college football and the fantasy that would be Lincoln Riley and USC playing in Norman in the first round of the college football playoff, along with the possibility of Texas Tech and Texas playing in it as well, according to Pate. But right now, we got to talk about something else. We got to get into this stuff. Brendan Sorsby has his temporary injunction granted by a judge. This is just wild to me that this is where we are right now, but here we are. Let me get into this story here. Judge grants Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby's injunction against the NCAA. Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby was granted a temporary injunction against the NCAA on Monday in Lubbock County Court, according to documents. The court ruling allows him to play for the 2026 college football season. According to the injunctions, he will be suspended for the first 2 games of the 26th season. This court finds the applicant has demonstrated that he will suffer probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if this court does not issue this temporary injunction because he will be unable to participate as a member of Texas Tech University's 26 football team. The injunction states, viewed as one of college football's top quarterbacks entering the 26th season, he passed on the NFL draft this spring to return to college. Sources have told On 3 that this deal with Texas Tech is north of $5 million. The NCAA cannot prevent Sorsby from practicing, playing, or otherwise participating on Texas Tech's football team for the 2026 season. The NCAA recently rejected Sorsby's request for reinstatement. This was on Friday. And in an appeal filed with the NCAA, Tech recommended a 2-game suspension for Sorsby, stating that if the NCAA pursues the max penalty, future athletes will be disincentivized from seeking the help they desperately need. Sorsby checked into a gambling addiction center in mid-April and has since been released. The Texas Tech quarterback has been diagnosed with a gambling and anxiety disorder and recently completed that 35-day stint in an Arizona gambling rehabilitation center. According to documents, Sorsby placed at least 40 bets involving Indiana as a quarterback for the Hoosiers. He also used sportsbook accounts registered to family members and friends to wager roughly $90,000 over 4 years. The quarterback continued to gamble after transferring from Cincinnati to Texas Tech in 2025. Wow. As our resident attorney, Chris Griffin, just sent me in a text message, his problem is the temporary injunction standard is now too low a bar to even be taken serious. And I got to agree. Look, just saw a Tech fan say he doesn't like it either. It is crazy. unfortunately, that's going to be this is going to be the minority of Tech fans, as we noticed after last week when I was getting attacked the entire week after the things that I've been saying about it. Terrible precedent is being set here. I mean, think about what's about to happen. Think about what's about to happen. This is the one standard red line item in any league, professional or amateur, that has been in place in sports for forever. You go all the way back to the the Chicago White Sox, the Black Sox, who Shoeless Joe Jackson, wasn't able to play for the rest of his career, best player in baseball type of deal. Pete Rose, the hit king, who still, even after he passed away this past year, hasn't been put into the Hall of Fame, won't be put into the Hall of Fame because of gambling that he did on his own team. And he never was proven to have gambled against his team. It's been shown that he was basically, Brendan Sorsby was gambling against Indiana in some respects. But because supposedly, an anxiety disorder and mental health, we're going to allow this to, now all of a sudden we don't have to go by the rules because our mental health says so. What are we doing? This right here is what should tell you that you need collective bargaining in the worst way possible. Because without collective bargaining, even this, we could talk about the Cruz Cantwell stuff that's coming up. We can talk about that. But the chances, first of all, the chances of that thing passing are slim and none. Although I would, nothing would surprise me at this point. But without collective bargaining, up until this point, you haven't been able to say that you're going to get antitrust protection for the NCAA, for college sports. Anytime a rule doesn't suit a player or a school for that matter, because this isn't just a player's issue. This is also on Texas Tech for backing this up. When they were part of the group that demanded that the NCAA did not allow gambling on even professional sports for its athletes. And now here we are. They're backing up this guy because he's a member of their football team and acting like this is okay. If you know it's wrong, how can you get away? I mean, how do you get away with a 2-game suspension? Why suspend him at all? It doesn't even make sense. Yeah. Chris, I guess I would ask you this. Is there any chance that this gets fast-tracked in the Texas Supreme Court? Any chance that happens before the season starts? Because to me, this is an emergency situation. There's no way that you can buy in and believe in college sports if a gambler gets to play in the game. At what point, when he throws an interception this year, or they don't win by as much as they think they're supposed to, or they lose a game, is it, this is all, they're going to be talking about him throwing these games forever, or, making sure that, they stay within the line. It's just unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. Wow. It's No, the injunction is temporary, but can only be appealed to a higher court. That will make a decision, just like with Heineke. Okay, so that can be. So if they're appealing it, and not, my guess is that they'll appeal that immediately, right? I don't know. I mean, this is a guy that admitted to all this gambling stuff, and like, because you admitted to it, But what people haven't been talking about a lot too, and I mean, we know this now at this point that Texas Tech they were told 2 or 3 weeks before he entered the gambling facility or the addiction facility for treatment about the allegations and that they were looking into it. And they didn't announce it to the world until he announced that he was going to be going to, the treatment facility first. So he had 2 to 3 weeks to decide this is what they were going to do. This is not like, and they even said it in the hearing this past week, that none of this came about until he was already notified that there would be an investigation and likely a suspension for his activities with gambling. And yet we're going to sit here and believe that this is all just it's all because of a gambling addiction or whatever. Well, I don't care. It's just like, this is like saying that an alcoholic can't get a DUI because they have an addiction problem. That you get a DUI, you don't face the punishment that comes with it. It's just unbelievable. Might as well get used to seeing him this season. So in other words, there's no way. Yeah. Yeah. It's unreal, man. It's unreal. We'll get more into this as we go along, I guess. To me, what's up, USCJ? Good to see you, man. Let me say hello to everybody in here. True Okie, 47, straight Sooner in Texas, Zofix. My Gun Sweetness, Segoy English, K. Chris, thank you for coming in. Unk, what up, Unk? How you doing, man? Robert Walliger, Kobe, Ben G, Liberty Bibberty, S4L, Sooners for Life. Is this a new channel? No, it's not a new channel. New show. Same show. New channel. There's some wild stuff, man. Can't believe it. Yeah, it's wild indeed. Mars Jams. The DT or the D Tulsa. My Gun Sweetness, Benji, welcome in. Thank you guys for coming in and joining the show. Hey, let me know what you think. What's up, USCJ? Hey, man, let me know what you think. USCJ, I was going to tell you to come on the show if you could. Talk about what we were going to talk about. And even, I'd love to hear your piece on what you think about an admitted gambler being able to play the sport. An admitted gambler on the sport that he plays being able to get through this. What up? I had to jump on this morning with this. Yeah, man. This shit is crazy. It is crazy. Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't take it off there from him being on there last week. Well, whether you're watching us on Sooners 360 or right here on Hall of Fame College Football, make sure you smash that like button. Become a subscriber if you have not already. And, share it with your friends. We got plenty to talk about. Send the link. All right. I got you. Well, CJ might be jumping on. Yeah, I texted you too, bro. Texted you too, but you didn't answer back on that one. All right, so to me, I don't understand how you can possibly. I mean, this is to me, this is can signal the end of college sports as we know it. If you can't trust the results that you're getting on the field are from what's going on between the lines, you don't have a sport. You've got sports entertainment. You've got the WWE. And that's not going to cut it. It's absolutely not going to cut it. And the precedent that this sets, I'm telling you, if they don't find a way to start with collective bargaining and allow for you to have the antitrust exemption so that everything can't go to court like this in the future, you're screwed. And we lose this sport. You can't, and I mean, people want to bitch and complain about the NIL and transferring and stuff like that being a problem in college sports. This is a real problem in sports. This is a real problem. Hey, 20 months of membership. That's awesome. Tech is dumb to be okay with this. Tech is showing you exactly who and what they are. That what it's really all about for them. I covered Texas Tech for a long period of the early time of me being a sports writer. And I would have never thought that this is what you would have gotten out of there. Never. Because there's some things that there should be certain things that you stand on no matter what, unequivocally and forever. And this is one of those things. This is one of those things. And the fact that even the chancellor, the president there, their board there at Texas Tech would allow them to throw their weight behind this situation just so that they can have their transfer quarterback and to please Cody Campbell is unfreaking believable to me. Yeah, that it's fixed. Well, I mean, there was a bunch of guys in pro basketball that came out and said that they were kind of fixing games. How easy it was to screw it up. And I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week as well. When I had a really flawed on last Wednesday, the officiating is so shitty that people have been thinking that way about it to begin with anyway. You know? Now you're just blatant with it now. We're just going to allow anything and everything to go. We're worried about Owen Heineke or Trinidad Chambliss or Joey Aguilar for that matter. Joey Aguilar's got to feel like, what the hell happened to me with, I can't get an extra year. Coming from the lower levels, I can't get an extra year, but Brendan Sorsby can gamble on college football on the team that he played for. No harm, no foul. Sucks to be Joey Aguilar today. I don't think so. I think it's just, I don't know. I guess that's a good question. I'd ask you that. Sounds like it's for the first two is what it said. It says, it's crazy. He'll be suspended for the first two games of the 2026 season, is what it says on the author story. Should have known better than that. Don't start coming at me this morning, big dog. We're all Oregon State fans now? No doubt. No doubt. Abilene Christian, whoop that ass. Oh, jeez. They did. They did. That's right. I forgot about that, but they did. Yep. Now Texas needs to take that week 1 game. Hummel Tech with no Sorsby hurt their playoff chances. Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's got to be something that the NCAA does here. They just, I mean, the Big 12, somebody's got to do something. I mean, could the NCAA not, or the Big 12 not suspend Tech as a university for this? I mean, I'm sure it'd go to court. Oh. Wow. That would be awesome. Maybe that could happen. Maybe the playoff itself, because that's not really the NCAA, is it? The college football playoff is basically run by ESPN. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. Oh man. Yeah, he's playing. He cannot be, according to the judge, the court finds that the applicant has demonstrated that he will suffer probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if this court does not issue this temporary injunction. He cannot be so crazy. So crazy. Oh, looky here, looky here, looky here. 1 second. Welcome into the show. From Locked On Oklahoma State, we're going to find out what a Big 12 or a fellow Big 12 person thinks about this Brendan Sorsby situation. From Locked On Oklahoma State, please welcome in Mr. Cody Stovall.
Oh, my camera's all jacked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, you're all janky. What up, man? What up, man? What up, man?
Man, this is not great for college football. It's not necessarily great for the NCAA, but it's great for Texas Tech, which means it's great for the Big 12, which means, you know, I'm a happy camper, man.
Oh, my God.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely
Listen, hold on a minute. Now, before you do that, you realize that we just turned this into WWE, right? If you can't trust the sport is on the up and up with every game, that because you got a gambler in the fold. This is something that has been one tried and true thing for every sports league, amateur or professional, for 150 years. We've known that this is not something you can do. If you can't trust that this sport is on the up and up, you don't have a sport anymore, Cody.
Yeah, no, just when we thought that the NCAA was gaining a little bit of traction, right? You know, this crap happens. So, yeah, it doesn't set a very good precedence. It once again validates that the NCAA doesn't really have a lot of teeth when it comes to just monitoring college football. You know,
but this is coming from an injunction, a court that a court is jumping in there and saying, because of a quote mental health problems, that you're allowed to do whatever you want. This is like saying a DUI. If you're an alcoholic, you can't get a DUI. You can't be punished for doing that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I can tell you this: if there's any NIL deals out there from like a sports betting place, Maybe Brendan Sorsby should be the face of it.
Dude, this is crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
So
I'm beside myself on the whole thing, man. I really am.
your opinion on it necessarily doesn't have anything to do with Texas Tech per se, or even the Big 12 per se. You're just broad scheme of things. This is bad for the Big 12, or I'm sorry, it's bad for
college sports in general, especially college football. Look, the officiating has been so bad for so long in all the leagues, to the point that people don't know if they believe in the outcomes, right? Because you've got just example after example after example of trash ass officiating in every league, right? I think it's worse in the SEC than it was in the Big 12 at the end. I would tell you at this point right now, these are the kind of things that you couldn't afford to have, and you couldn't afford to have it anyway. But how could you ever trust any outcome of any game, period, from here on out?
Well, typically things from a legality standpoint are based off of, there has to be a precedent set, right? Which is why typically lawyers will argue a previous court case that was one that helps their client. What is the NCAA?
Look at what that did too. Yeah, now you just set a new precedent here.
Yes, and wasn't it just a handful of years ago? We had Hunter Deckers and Arlen Bruce and a couple other players that got suspended for the season because they did this exact same thing. So I thought the precedents had already been set a handful of years ago, that if you do this, you're going to be out a year no matter what, even if you were to transfer, because Oklahoma State dealt with this, right? Arlen Bruce was going to start as a Cowboy before this news came out that he was involved in that crap. So how come those guys got suspended? How come
Hunter Deckers had a $15 bet with a clown in a freaking bar from Iowa over who was going to win that game between Iowa and Iowa State. $15, banned for life.
Yeah, again, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And look, at the end of the day, I don't know. It doesn't matter where it comes from. This is not a Big 12 thing. This isn't a Texas Tech sucks thing, in my opinion. Look, as I said before, I have an opinion about Tech not being as good as they act like they are, and all that stuff. That's an opinion, and they can very well prove me wrong in all of that, right? This is terrible for the sport, though. Terrible for the sport.
Yeah, I can't argue that one, man. I mean, it's somewhat comparable, is it not, to the Trinidad Chambliss thing, right? Where a local judge kind of stepped in and
that's the only thing that's comparable, though, is that it's a local judge. Owen Heineke, same thing. Local judge steps in, they grant an injunction. At least in those cases, though, you can show that there's been, the NCAA was not really. They don't always do it the same way. There's no rhyme or reason to what their decisions are, right? The NCAA doesn't always do it the same. So I get where people, I get it, yes. But here's what, and I think that what you're getting at too, here's where it tells you that you better get into having some collective bargaining now. Because the only way that, short of this Cruz Cantwell legislation passing, and that granting what is it that what's the word I'm looking for here?
Is it another injunction?
Well, no, it's for you to be able to get antitrust protection for the NCAA. If that goes through with the Cruz Cantwell legislation, then fine. I don't think that that's going to go through. I think that it's, there's a lot of people saying that it is, including Josh Pate and some of these other folks. But I would tell you that I don't see that really happening, because the SEC and Big Ten, they've got power in some places that, with senators and stuff in those big states, right? And they're not okay with the legislation, particularly with the media rights pooling stuff. But if you don't, and if that doesn't go through, then the only real way everything that we've seen coming out of these courts is you're not going to get that antitrust protection unless you have collective bargaining. If you have collective bargaining to where the players have some form of a vote in how the sport is governed, then you get the antitrust protection that would go with it. So you wouldn't be able to just go on an injunction for something that everybody had collectively bargained for as far as the rules concerned, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised this kind of took place. I thought whenever that last judge that was a Texas Tech alum removed himself, I thought that this thing was dead in the water, right? Because I thought that was his opportunity to get the Trinidad Chambliss treatment. So when that judge recused himself, and they went with an impartial judge or panel or whatever the case may be, yeah, I thought this thing was dead in the water.
Yeah, he's a Fort Worth judge. I thought it should have been. And listen, this should have been dead in the water. But I also can't believe that Texas Tech itself is backing this up when, there was an opportunity for the NCAA. Just 1 second on this. The NCAA they were thinking about going. They had petitioned Congress to allow NCAA athletes to gamble on professional sports, not their own sports, but professional sports. Texas Tech was a big part of the group that went and told the NCAA and Charlie Baker, hell no, you can't do that. No, we don't. It's Pandora's box. We can't have it. And yeah, but then whenever it's affecting them and the guy that they clearly didn't vet very well before they went and dumped $5 million in his lap, then it's okay to do it.
Well, I think that's the reason why, though.
For Texas Tech.
I think it's because they're investing $5 million. And I think they did know about this because obviously Cincinnati already knew about it. So yeah, sure. I don't think it's something that Tech foresaw as a major obstacle. But again, look at it the same thing. If John Mateer went through something kind of comparable and you had donors that were pumping up $5 million for Mateer, you're probably going to try to back him and get him on the field as much as physically possible. I mean, I get that angle of it. I understand why. Because, again, I think when Texas Tech looked at this last year CFP, they genuinely felt like the only spot that was a deterrent to them moving on was quarterback play. And I do think that Brendan Sorsby is a little bit better than Behren Morton. I don't think he's drastically better than Behren Morton, but I do think he is better than Behren. And so looking at it from Tech's perspective,
about more than winning and losing, though. I mean, we're literally talking about the entire integrity of your sport now. The entire sport.
Bro, don't sit here and act like this sport has any integrity, and don't act like it has for the last 10 years.
Fair enough there, Cody. I have to give you that one. Well, I have to give you that one. This is clear. This is just another example of the fact that there is zero integrity in it. Because and you can't trust it. It's the WWE. But here's the thing. What does any of it mean anymore? And here's the other thing. All this money that is being spent on the sport right now, all the people that are buying tickets and season tickets and everything else, and your ratings being as high as they are from week to week in the playoff and in the regular season, people are going to stop watching this shit if they can't trust it.
Well, I think you've already alienated a percentage of fans, right? People that are a little bit older than us already feel very disconnected from the game of college football that they grew up loving. So I do think that there is already a certain group of the fan base that is no longer as invested. And I get it, right? This transfer portal era has been disastrous for you as building up your fan base. It's really hard because typically those storylines of a guy going from, a walk-on to a number 2 to leading you to a conference title, those kind of storylines, they don't happen as much anymore because of the transfer portal. So, yeah, I think it's this is another way to alienate even more fans, which just simply proves that the NCAA is probably on its last leg. Unless they get this cooperation from the government, which it does look like they're kind of going to get. I know you mentioned you didn't necessarily think that some of it was going to go through. I kind of think that it will.
It sounds like Ted Cruz is absolutely stuck where he's at, though. He's going to continue trying to push this through. We are hearing, though, like you've got one of the Senate leaders from Louisiana that's not okay with it. You'd basically have to get everybody, almost the entirety of, and it being, I guess, because it's, coming from, two parties, the two sponsors are, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican or whatever. Cool. But the thing, you can't underestimate the fact that, I mean, how many senators and congressmen come from the University of Michigan or Ohio State or USC for that matter, or, in the South, obviously LSU, Alabama, any of these other ones. There's going to be somebody that's going to step in the way of that because of the fact that they feel like the SEC and the Big Ten have built up the brand that they have it in. And so to be able to take away their ability to have their own media rights, which was also granted with that 1984 deal with the media rights, I don't know. There's some holes in it that it doesn't. There's a lot of people that are saying the opposite of what Josh Pate and others are saying about that it is going to pass. We'll see. I think it remains. Nothing would surprise me at this point. Nothing would surprise me at this point.
If it didn't pass, I'd be slightly surprised because Ted Cruz seems to indicate that the only reason he pushed this forward is because it had so much bipartisan support.
It does.
Anytime something has to go through voting, it's got to be pretty even down the middle. But Ted Cruz even said this is something that has nothing to do with politics, thankfully. So that's why it's easy to get bipartisan support, is because it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you fall on when it comes to college athletics and trying to keep this portal NIL era in some sort of guardrails. Yeah, I don't think that Republican or Democrat.
It's not that part as much as it is. And as far as I think that the Big Ten and the SEC are probably behind that as well, as far as trying to limit the amount of time. But again, I caution against this. And you know me, I'm going to be on the side of the athletes when it comes to this from here on out. I don't like the idea of, and here's the other. Well, first of all, I'm not for anything that limits their ability to make money because they haven't made money for all these years. And I don't believe that money and the portal is the big problem here. First, because I think by and large, at minimum, 75% of the players that are in the portal from year to year are told to go get in it.
I don't know about 75%, but you are right. It's kind of like the darkest understory that never gets told, right? We condemn players when they enter the transfer portal.
You know why it doesn't get told? First of all, the schools don't want to look bad. The coaches don't want to look bad for doing that. They love having the flexibility of not spending their money on somebody they don't believe in anymore. But so they don't want to do that. Players aren't going to say that they got told to go get in the portal because they don't want to look like they suck.
Correct. Right. Yeah. No, a lot of these kids are told that your spot here is in jeopardy, so you should probably get in the portal. Unfortunately,
they can't make them do it, but they can tell them that they're never going to play.
Right, and NIL,
right? Cut your money to nothing.
You send a massive message through NIL nowadays. Like if you have a running back that has, he's coming on his third year back and he just rushed for 500 yards, and you only offer him $120K. That's you basically saying, I think you're the same as a high school senior.
Listen, there's guys that I think that there's dudes that they basically offer them nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Not $120,000 is still a lot of money. I'm saying $10,000, $5,000, stuff like that for the year. I know for a fact that there's a reason that guys like. Well, I'm not even going to bring up names. There's a reason that certain players went to the portal over the last couple of years from Oklahoma is because basically they didn't have any NIL money for them.
Yeah, none. That's basically, that's what Rodney Fields. I think Rodney Fields would have likely started for Oklahoma State this year had we not brought in Caleb Hawkins. But they offered him an amount of money that was really, 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 really easy to turn down because they knew schools like Kansas State and Baylor were going to offer him pretty close to what he was worth. And at the time, I was throwing a massive, B fit because I like Rodney a lot. I'm really close to his family. I thought he was great for Oklahoma State. But then you start hearing reports that guys like Dennis Moody and Trey Page are on the same exact level. And then you see that show up in the spring game. And that's what it was. That's exactly what I assumed happened was they really liked Dennis Moody. They knew that he was worth, let's say, $150K. So they told Rodney Fields, bro, we're already bringing somebody in for 150, so we're going to offer you like less than that. Even though we know you're well worth it, we're not going to give you more because we've got somebody coming that we think is equally as good. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, and we obviously he did his thing at North Texas last year. This is a new staff, all that stuff. I mean, it is what it is. But these are the things that they're not going to tell you. This is why I don't know that it necessarily does pass with the way it is, because I believe at the end of the day, you won't be able to have the ability to do that as much anymore. You can't just send them on because, if they haven't done anything, number one, are they going to get on anywhere else? Oh, well, maybe not. But if you hadn't played them much yet or haven't played them enough to showcase them to where, that they're, they've got a lot of value out there in the free agency, if you want to call it that, then why the hell would they go get in the portal? Because they only got one shot to do it. For free.
Yeah, I know. There's things about the 5 for 5 that I don't love.
I don't have a problem with 5 for 5 necessarily. I don't have a problem with that. What I have the problem with this that I have is that, again, and I don't know that I don't even know that this is going to pass muster. Even if they pass this law into go, it'll have to pass muster against the Supreme Court, against federal judges who have already said multiple times that you cannot limit an athlete's opportunities to make money through name, image, and likeness, and limiting their ability to transfer would do that. If you have an opportunity to go play more at another university, and they're not allowed to do that because of the transfer portal rule, then you're limiting their ability to make money through NIL. I mean, that's already been established.
I go back to what Ted Cruz said. Like, if Ted Cruz is saying that the only reason you get something like this off the ground is with a crap ton of bipartisan support, I don't think Ted Cruz or Kristen Cantwell would have even gotten it to this level if they didn't already have a decent number of yeses in the building before they took it this far. That's you keep acting like,
as far as the Congress people in Congress, even if they pass this, I'm saying that doesn't mean that it gets past the judges.
I know, bro, but that's what he said. He said that nothing gets passed unless it gets all of the votes. And the beauty of this is that it has enough bipartisan support to get the votes at both the House and the Senate level.
But it doesn't pass the Supreme Court, though. That doesn't have anything to do with the Supreme Court level. The Supreme Court level doesn't have nothing to do with it, because everything that they've said in the past is that, no, you can't limit their ability to make money. You can't. And part of that would be, this the reason that, remember, they tried this a couple of years ago. The rule was in place. You can only transfer once. They just threw it out there.
Yeah.
What happened? Immediately it got challenged, and immediately the court shut it down.
Yeah, but surely the courts can see that this current methodology of NIL and portal is not going to work.
No, they don't see that. That's the point I'm trying to make. That wasn't even the first time. That was one of the times that happened. They don't see it that way because you are still limiting that as well. Here's the way that you can fix this is actually having, if you have collective bargaining where you can absolutely have that antitrust protection. Unless you do, you're fucked.
Yeah, the players need some type of, NFLPA kind of thing, in my personal opinion. But, I think there's a lot of good things that could come out of some semblance of a salary cap. I think that is likely where this whole thing should be headed. I mean, that's the idea behind making everybody spend the same $21.5 million on rev share, right? That's the concept, is to try to get this thing back to where everybody's somewhat even.
Here's a question I have for you on that one. That one's something that I hadn't thought about it as much in. But if you're talking about the same amount of money, then, okay, so essentially that's taking it back to the old days then. Because if it's 21.5 million or whatever, that's cool. But it's going to be about who's able to pay the dudes under the table the best.
Yeah.
Or it could even just become about who's got the biggest brands that are known to win now. I'm going to make the same amount of money anywhere I go because I'm this kind of player. But if I go to Alabama or if I go to Texas or I go to, Georgia, Oklahoma, whatever, or am I going to go to K-State or Texas Tech where they've never won? Right? They've never won a natty or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So,
hold on. No, I don't.
There is actually something to try to hold it to this. If everybody agrees that, this is what we're going to spend in theory, it almost feels like you're rolling it back to that era of that there was no parity. I think there's more parity. I think there's more parity right now today.
Where's the correlation to
ever been
in Texas Tech?
What's that?
What's the correlation to K-State and Tech?
Because K-State and Texas Tech can't keep up with the big boys money-wise, right? If
K-State can't,
no, for sure. But even in Texas Tech, in theory, can. I mean, they didn't score a point against the number 3 team out of the Big Ten, but in theory, they can keep up, right? Because they're just a quarterback away, apparently. Whatever. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make is, are you not now going back to the old way to where the schools that have always been there at near the top, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, these schools that are among the elite programs in the country and always have been to some extent, does it not favor those schools again if you're playing on your quote unquote, even playing field? Because I kind of feel like it does. Does it go back to where, like a place like Oklahoma State, you have the best facilities. You pay, and you can afford to pay that kind of money. But are you going to be able to, on reputation and everything else, still stack up to the other teams in the country that have always done it, and they're going to find a way to get those best players no matter what?
No, I think it's always going to favor the who's who. There's a reason that most of these schools are still considered blue bloods, right? It's because they've had a steady inflow of both income and talent and resources. So I don't necessarily think that we're going back to some degree, but I get what you're saying, because if you go back to the one-time
be careful what you wish for here, because you just might get it.
Well, I mean, there is still the NIL component, right? The rev share is like everybody can spend the same 21.5, but as of right now, there's no caps for the most part on NIL.
Well, if the Cantwell Cruz thing goes through, there will be a hard cap, and it will include the NIL. That's what the whole CSC thing was supposed to be about.
Yeah. No, I think that's. But
you're not supposed to be able to go over that even with your money from NIL stuff.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, I don't know, help yourself. And I think that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what this entirety, all of this shit that's coming together. You start looking at what this is, and you're allowing, like Hank just said. So a judge said, bet away. Yeah, he did pretty much.
He did what?
What a judge just basically said, bet away, everybody. And just blame it on mental health.
And again, like what would stop? I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about court proceedings or litigation. I'm not a law expert, but again, now what would prevent the Hunter Deckers and the Arlen Bruces of the world from going after the NCAA now, being like, wait, hold on now.
Absolutely.
I lost a year of sports
over $15 fucking dollars.
Well, I don't know about that. Like the Arlen Bruce is the only one there was like. They were doing the same thing. They were all making like FanDuel kind of bets, but they were they weren't crazy.
No,
they weren't on their own.
What they caught Hunter Deckers for was being on camera in a bar with some drunk ass from Iowa making a $15 bet on who was going to win the Iowa State game.
I didn't know that.
And I know that they were doing a big sting between Iowa and Iowa State. Hunter Deckers was pretty much the only one that didn't get to do it. Or was Arlen Bruce part of that too?
Yeah, there's 3 players that lost that year.
Okay.
It was Hunter Deckers, Arlen Bruce, and then there was somebody else from that same kind
But
of.
Deckers lost his career in college football because he was betting on football.
So did
right?
Arlen Bruce. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, get ready for refs throwing games due to bets they have games on. They have on games. Who's to say that they're not? That's what I'm saying. The officiating is already awful. No matter the league, they all suck at it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd say the ACC was the best at least showing you the inside of their replay center and like how they come to their decision on the replay. Everybody should have been adopting that. But right now, how can you believe any of it is real? How can you believe any of it's real? This is not a good thing for college sports. It's not a good thing for college football at all. It's just wild to me. Yeah. I cannot believe that this is where we are. And again, I have a problem with Texas Tech standing up here and worried more about this season for them. We're talking about a player and whatever it is. I don't care how much money they have invested in him. We're talking about the long-term viability of your sport, and you're more worried about whether or not you can push through and win a national championship or not because of this quarterback is the end-all be-all of that. It's unbelievable to me.
Bro, hold on. There's not a team in America, including both of ours.
I don't agree with you at all.
I don't agree with
that. I don't agree with that.
Well, okay, tell me one team in the country that would not be backing their quarterback the same exact way right now.
I guarantee. I don't think Oklahoma State would do that shit.
I disagree. They're backing their dude. They're backing their dude against a corrupt NCAA system. I think everybody in the country would do the same thing.
No. It's about gambling. It's about the integrity of your sport. If you are worried about the integrity of your sport, and you should be at this point in time, especially with everything that's going on, how could you possibly back that up?
Because it's nothing egregious. He didn't commit an egregious crime. He didn't go beat somebody.
Hold on.
He didn't go committed the one and hit somebody head on. Like, what are you acting like?
Cody, this dude committed the one cardinal sin against sports there is. Betting on that sport that you play is the one cardinal sin in sports.
Okay, but you're acting like he committed a murder and the immorality of Texas Tech is unfathomable.
I didn't say he committed a murder. I didn't say he
acting like it. You're acting like you can't believe Texas Tech would back him and how terrible.
He didn't get in the fucking Hall of Fame because he was betting on the game that he was coaching at that time.
I'm saying you're full of crap if you think any other team in the country would be like, I'm not going to back our player because what he did was wrong. Come on, man.
I think that as a university, you can't afford to have your integrity as a university questioned that much. I don't think that you can.
Whenever schools like Georgia require 34 DUIs before you can start,
that has nothing to do with the freaking one like Texas Tech. You cannot break in any sport. There's no other professional or amateur league anywhere. There's no other professional or amateur league in any sport in any part of the world that doesn't understand that the one thing that you can't do is gamble on your sport.
Okay, but stop acting like any other university, including ours, wouldn't be backing him. That's my point.
I don't agree.
You're acting like there's some morality. There's some morality clause that Texas Tech's not living up to by backing their dude when every one of us would do the same thing.
Texas Tech was one of the main voices in all that, saying that you can't allow players to gamble on any sport, much less the one that you play.
Okay.
They've changed their tune because of their player.
But again, I keep going back to this. The only issue I have is you pretending like Texas Tech is a bad university because they're not backing their
terrible decision on their part.
You're acting like what he did was the same thing Art Baylor did at Baylor, and how Baylor
Art
should
Briles
not.
did it to Baylor. Whoa. First of
Yeah,
all,
that's what you're acting like.
First of all, have you seen everything about that case to be able to tell you that was about Art Briles? Because I would tell you that you need to go back and look.
Dude, oh my gosh. I'm saying you're treating Texas Tech like they're covering up for an Art Briles scenario, and it's ridiculous. It's insane that you would even take that position.
No, they're more worried
Tech,
about. Yes, it's bad. This is the one cardinal sin in any sport, is to completely erase the integrity of the game by allowing a gambler who's admitted to gambling at least 40 times on his own team. At least 40 times that we know that he gambled on his own team. $30,000 worth of bets on Indiana while he was there. You're going to tell me that as shitty as they were, oh my God. Yeah, no, we're different. I don't believe that Oklahoma State would be okay with this. I don't think that they would back up. I've watched them not back up players in the past.
Yeah, we kicked off players like Tyreek Hill before ever even doing an investigation. The millisecond something like that came out because it's bad for Oklahoma State. This is the same thing. You're trying to present that Texas Tech is in the wrong here because they're backing their player. What I'm telling you, this is an insane statement, in my personal opinion. It would be bad for a university to back somebody that had multiple DUIs or did get in a major car wreck or did beat their girlfriend.
This is bad. Look,
no.
He admitted that he did all this shit, Cody. Cody, he admitted that he did all this shit.
Yeah, but you're acting like there's a morality issue here for Texas Tech, and it's insane. It's the most insane tank I may have ever heard you
against the sport itself. It's a morality issue against the sport itself. You can't tell me if you're not okay with him playing, and then tell me you're okay with Texas Tech being okay with him playing. What the fuck are you talking about?
Say that again.
You can't tell me that you're not okay with him being able to play, but you're okay with Texas Tech being okay with him being able to play. What the fuck are you talking about?
Because they're backing their guy for something trivial, small, and stupid. That's why.
Is it trivial, small? Oh, well, a minute ago you said that
universities that back their players after they punch women in the freaking face. What are you talking about?
Dude, he spent.
Stop acting like Brendan Sorsby just walked into a bar.
I love this one. You know what? This is what I love. I love it when people instead of, they don't have an argument for why it's okay for what they're doing, so they just start lashing out at other shit other universities have allowed. And like Joe Mixon didn't have to go through any kind of problem, he didn't have to go through all kinds of shit to get himself back on that team. It didn't happen in a heartbeat. It didn't happen in a week or two.
But you backed him, did they not?
No, they allowed him to prove that he was capable of coming back. They allowed him to go through and do the things that he had to do to get back in the people's good graces. He had to go through the court proceedings and go through and pay his dues on what he did to become eligible to play.
Well, didn't Brendan Sorsby?
I would tell you,
just go to rehab?
Hold on, I would still tell you that there's a lot of people at the university that didn't believe in allowing Joe to come back.
Yeah, well, he did. And you're sitting here acting like what Brendan Sorsby did is worse, and what Texas Tech is doing is worse. Like, are you higher in a draft's vagina right now? What are we talking about?
I'm telling you that as a sport, that this is the worst thing that you can do as the sport itself. For the sport itself.
Maybe.
And we're talking about a sport that right now is worth billions and billions of dollars every year, and you could lose all of that because of one player being able to play. And that's how short-sighted Texas Tech's being. You could lose the integrity of this sport completely. People could stop watching the fucking games completely because you're worried about this one season with your one player.
I think this is
what he was doing. Who knew what he was doing?
This is a very ridiculous and hypocritical hill for you to die on. It's insane to me.
I'm not dying on this hill. I'm dying. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you are. You
keep going
back to Texas Tech is in the wrong here. You keep
going
back.
They are in the wrong. They are in the wrong here.
No, hell no.
They are in the wrong here.
Hell no. I would rather my university back a player for betting than some of the other stupid shit that these players get backed for. Stupid.
Okay.
Maybe
I'm telling you
that's
that I
different.
think that's the worst part.
Maybe in the
Again,
SEC,
you're okay. So what you're telling me is you're okay with
crimes.
So you're okay with this being the WWE now instead of a game that you go out there and win and lose and people believe in what the outcomes of these games are. You're okay with that?
I'm not okay with it. But I'm also not okay with people trying to take the superiority high road that have no business doing so. There's not very many teams in the country, maybe Clemson, that could sit on the high road and say what Texas Tech's doing is wrong.
What?
Yeah.
Clemson? Why is Clemson the only one that can? Tell me.
To my knowledge, they don't do a bunch of nefarious stuff. To my knowledge, they don't allow players to play that have a bunch of legal troubles. I could be wrong. I don't follow Clemson.
You're not necessarily right there. There's plenty of stuff that's gone on about Clemson under Dabo.
One there's 0 teams in the country that have a right to condemn Texas Tech right now.
No, I think every one of the programs in the country should be condemning Texas Tech right now. And the NCAA or the CFB or the CFP or whoever should not allow them to compete.
I think you're nuts. If John Mateer was in the same scenario, OU would be backing
wasn't
him.
in the same scenario. That was a joke on a Venmo payment, and they didn't have all kinds of. They did not have all kinds of freaking stacks and stacks of proof that you were betting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on your own sport.
Listen, Linda, I said if John Mateer was in the same fucking scenario, OU would be backing him, and you would be on this show talking about how he should play.
No, I wouldn't. And don't question my integrity like that. I'm not okay with this as a fan of the sport. It doesn't have anything to do with Texas Tech per se, other than they're backing up the worst possible thing that you could do as a college athlete. And I'm always on the side of the college athlete.
I disagree. There's thousands of other things that are way worse to do as a college athlete than freaking bet.
Not when it comes to the integrity of the sport itself, Cody. You're equating kids that do kid stuff or whatever that may happen, legal things that happen to kids, and they get in trouble for it. And you know what? It's just like everybody wants to be, Nick Saban is the greatest, blah, blah, blah right now. What does he talk about with Nassim Muhammad when he was at Michigan State? He had to sit him down. He had to make him go through all this stuff because of whatever. I don't even remember what the shit was that he did. Probably a fight of some kind or something that they wanted him kicked off of the team. It's one thing to have to go through and you pay your dues and you pay back your penance for whatever it is that you do wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And try to, and because God only knows we've all made our own mistakes, me included. But we're talking about a deal where this kid isn't even going to pay for anything that he did wrong. He's not paying for it. 2 games against Abilene Christian and freaking Oregon State. That's what he's going to miss. Cool.
Okay, but you just talked about how all these players have had to go through and serve their time and serve their penance.
This is not the same thing, though. We're talking about a dude that has serially bet on the games.
Okay,
on every game that he can, on which fucking crow flies off the fence next, he'll put a bet on it. And you're going to believe that he's not out there going to be, when people are approaching him about, hey, you want to get it? We need you to take a dive in this game or whatever, and we'll give you X amount of money. He won't do that? Come on.
I don't know.
He's an addict. That's like,
and he went to rehab.
Giving him a job as a fucking bartender.
He went to rehab. You're sitting here talking about.
So a recovering alcoholic, would you give him a job as a bartender? Would you give a recovering alcoholic a job as a bartender, Cody?
I can't hear you because I'm trying to fucking talk.
Would you give
I can't hear you.
A recovering alcoholic that went to rehab a job as a bartender?
I wouldn't know. But again, you're sitting here talking about these players had to earn their way back on the field. Brendan Sorsby just went to rehab. It's the exact same thing you're talking about. You're talking out of one side and shitting out of the other, and it's coming to the same circle because what you just said is what he did. He had to go to rehab to, kind of earn his way back. It's the same crap that some players have had to do by doing their community service or running extra stadiums. It's the same thing. The difference is there's not any egregious physical harm here.
How do you know that he wasn't affecting those games that he was betting on, Cody? How do you know?
Because he wasn't playing. He didn't play at Indiana back then.
Just because you don't play, you know the game plan. You've got the playbook.
Maybe. It didn't bother Indiana. It didn't bother Cincinnati.
Information is a huge thing in sports gambling.
Okay, so why are you not attacking Cincinnati and Indiana then?
Oh, they should be indefinitely should.
They're immoral like Texas
You clearly haven't paid attention to my stance on this at all, because I've been saying for a while now that they should both be in trouble for what happened. Cincinnati definitely knew about it. Definitely knew about it. And let him play. Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got out there to the whoever the police or the law enforcement officials that brought this to the attention of the NCAA. I'm sure that was from a tip that came from somebody at the University of Cincinnati.
I think so too.
That doesn't make it. That's all well and good, and you should punish them, but it doesn't mean. How are you going to punish them when you're not even punishing fucking Sorsby?
I don't know, but
how are you going to do it?
I'm more excited now about Brendan Sorsby playing than I was before I got on this show. I can tell you that. Free 2, baby. I'm all on the Sorsby train now.
Good Lord. How are you? Let me ask you a question about that. Why are you so pro Texas Tech when you're a fucking Oklahoma State fan?
I'm just pro Big 12.
Make it make sense.
You know that. You knew the question before you even answered it. I care more about the Big 12 than most everybody I probably work with. That's why.
I get that you like the Big 12, but that you think that Sorsby's the answer to them winning the Natty and restoring the glory of the Big 12? Is that what you're telling me?
If that's what it takes. Well, here's the reality of it all. For national perception purposes, if Texas Tech loses to anybody without Brendan Sorsby, whoever beats them is not going to get any credit or respect. But if you beat a Brendan Sorsby-led Texas Tech squad, that gives you bonus points nationally, and it helps. It helps with perception. So I just don't want to see Texas Tech losing ball games and them get kind of dinged for it because, Brendan Sorsby wasn't out there, so did you really beat Tech? I don't want to hear none of that crap fest. I want Texas Tech to be at their very best, and if that means Brendan Sorsby's on the field, then so be it, because I want what's best for the Big 12. And if they're the best team in the Big 12 and they're one quarterback away from winning a CFP game, then I'm going to ride the shit out of the Big 12 train with Taco Tech, baby.
Oh, my God. I would have expected otherwise from you on this. I can't believe you're behind this. It's wild. I think it's going to be tough. I think this is probably pretty right. The crowd is going to be on his ass. The crowds are going to be on Sorsby's ass. That's what I thought I was reading there. I'm going to tell you now. There's no if he thinks his mental health is fucked up right now. Wait till you go to some of these stadiums.
Dude, speaking of, can we give a round of applause to that attorney? I don't know who he is, but
for what?
For talk about reinventing the wheel. There's
I'm not
no
applauding.
way.
I'm not applauding this shit. I think you're crazy.
It felt like Sorsby was dead to rights, done, no chance. And this lawyer cooks up this mental health thing, and it's like, I don't believe it. I don't buy it for a second.
Your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up.
It is smart. Bro, you got to give credit where credit's due. That lawyer's a genius.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with the attorney. It has to do with the fact that, they argued it. The judge coming, where is he coming from? It's terrible. The worst decision possible. How is this where you land on it? Again, it's setting a precedent that is not a good precedent for anyone anywhere in anything that you do. Now, I mean, we're living in a world right now that there's fewer times that you have to actually pay for what you do wrong. And again, this is like saying, okay, yeah, if I'm an alcoholic and I go out and I get in a DUI and hurt somebody in an accident, I don't have to pay the consequences because I have an addiction problem. It's not my fault. Never mind, you knew what you were doing.
I'm just happy that I'm happy that Texas Tech, somebody in the Big 12 is getting that SEC treatment. I'm just happy that somebody in the conference is finally getting that same kind of love. Yeah, right, it's about time.
I'm gonna let you go.
If it's gotta be Tech, then
this is silly shit right here. If now we're talking about the SEC. We're gonna bring this into the SEC and what we're talking about what are we talking about now?
This is finally Texas Tech's moment.
So you're actually okay with the fact that a gambler is going to play the sport and ruin the integrity of the sport. Okay, cool.
The SEC hates Texas Tech, and it's glorious. Stop talking about this is going to hurt the integrity of the sport.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
What do you mean? It means every year the SEC's in the headlines for something, and they always win, and the Big 12 always gets shat on. So finally, we get this SEC treatment, and it's freaking fun. I don't care that it's Tech. It's got to be Tech.
You know what? What you're talking about right now is just proof positive to me that the Big 12 is thinking about things that don't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things. You're more worried about your schools being able to play for a national championship or not playing for a national championship ever because you lost the two good schools that could have played for a national championship in your league. You're more worried about that than you are about the integrity of the entire sport. And that's unbelievable to me. I hear the same shit.
What am I more worried about?
All you guys care about is the Big 12 and whether or not you're looked at as the same as the SEC and the Big 10. You're not. You're not going to be.
Hold on. When has anybody anywhere ever said the Big 12 should be compared to the same to the SEC?
You just got done pretty much saying it yourself right there.
Bro, get the
It's all about the SEC. The SEC. We're not even talking about that shit. I'm not talking about Texas Tech as a Big 12 program. I'm talking about them as a university backing something that is absolutely wrong. Period. End of story. It's not about the Big 12. It's not about the Big 10. It's not about the SEC or the ACC. None of that shit has anything to do with what I'm talking about.
I was taking a shot at the SEC, and you jumped into left fucking field.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Instead of talking about what's important here, just like every other Big 12 fan that we listen to, other than Neelio, thank God for Neelio. Instead of that, you want to talk about shit that doesn't matter.
And you're talking about shit that doesn't matter.
It disappoints me. It disappoints me.
You're the one talking about shit that doesn't matter, acting like Texas Tech did some awful crime.
Backing up this and allowing after they had already said that it was a Pandora's box that should never be opened, they opened it themselves over one player for one season.
And I'm saying
it better be worth it. If they don't win the Natty, then what?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
All right, man. I'm gonna let you get.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Cody Stovall, Locked On Oklahoma State. Get over there and watch him and listen to more of that Big 12 propaganda, if you would. I got to tell you, I love the dude. We're not on the same fucking page here. We're not on the same fucking page here. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Are you tired of your game day gear looking like it's stuck in the offseason? Well, step up your fandom with Hall of Fame College Football's official Fanatics partner store. Whether you're a diehard Oklahoma Sooners fan like myself, bleeding Crimson and Cream, or you rep another one of the SEC's heavy hitters, Fanatics has you covered. Shop thousands of officially licensed hats, jerseys, sideline polos, and exclusive championship merch from the entire Power 4 and Group of 6 too. All shipped directly to your doorstep and fast. Want to gear up like your favorite coaches and players? Are you looking for that perfect tailgate tee or a statement piece for your man cave? Fanatics is your one-stop shop for authentic college football gear from everybody that plays the game. So do yourself and your team a favor. Click our link in the description or simply log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. And you can shop everything that you want for the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner page. Hall of Fame college football fans, rep the pod the same way you rep your team. The official Hall of Fame college football pod merch store is live with gear built for Saturdays, watch parties, tailgates, and every we told you so moment. Grab your t-shirts, polos, hoodies, caps, bucket hats, and more. And show everybody that you're part of the Hall of Fame college football squad. Whether you're rocking it on campus, at the bar, or from the couch, this is your uniform for college football season. Go get yours at hofmedia.us/pod-merch. That's hofmedia.us/pod-merch. Hall of Fame college football pod merch. Gear up, talk ball, and rep the crew. All right, I'm back. Oh, really? Cowpoke Ranch, huh? Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on just a second. Cowpoke Ranch. Let me get this thing off of the screen here. What's Cowpoke Ranch talking about? Silly shit. Oh, you in Texas game? Why are we talking about? See, again, what the hell? This is the point. This is why I just kicked him off of the show. I don't understand why in the hell we're talking about stuff that doesn't have a thing to do with the integrity of the entire sport. And Texas Tech is going against the integrity of the entire sport by backing this up. Plain and simple, end of story. And listen, I would like to hope that Oklahoma State wouldn't back a player that was admitted to gambling that much on his own fucking sport and his own team. See, you guys got me cussing more than I have. I haven't been cussing like this in forever. That's how wound up I am. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. It doesn't have anything to do with the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC or anybody. This has to do with Tech and Brendan Sorsby, and they're thinking that they're above all of that. They're above the integrity of the entire sport. The golden goose that is college football is in danger right now. It's in danger. The second that fans no longer believe in the outcomes of these games, they lose interest. They stop going and paying for tickets. They stop watching the shit on television, and the money dries up. And there's already a ton of them that don't want anything to do with the damn game because of the officiating. They're sure that it's fixed. And this judge just proved that it might be. And Texas Tech was backing it. I don't give a shit if they were in the SEC. It's wrong. End of story. And I'm not one of these SEC homers anyway. That's not me. I don't give a shit about nobody else in the SEC but Oklahoma when it comes to who I'm rooting for. This conference bullshit is ridiculous to me, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Oh, my God. Did he bet against his team or for his team? How much did he make? They know that. Listen, he had at least 40 bets on Indiana games while he was at Indiana. for $30,000 worth of bets. $30,000. Now, you mean to tell me they know for sure that he bet the under on something? For sure. They know of at least 2 instances where he bet, and you could say he was betting against Indiana. But I would tell you that for $30,000 worth of betting, this is pre-Kurt Signetti, and at which time they were god-awful. Terrible. So $30,000 you're throwing out there and you don't care about losing 30 grand, so you're going to bet always for you to win? Bullshit. Bullshit. And that's just what they know about. That's just what they know about. This is crazy. Under on QB yards, under first half points. See, and here's the thing. I lived in Vegas for 15 years. The way that sports gambling works, there's a lot of little intricacies to it. But I can tell you this, those sports books, they can watch a bet and or a series of bets. And if they, like somebody at a sports book, if they know that Brendan Sorsby has a backup or anybody else, or somebody that was a fucking cowboy in Indiana, if they had made that bet and they knew who that was, they know exactly what to do with the line. They know exactly what to do with it. It could change the entire dynamics of a bet, or they might just take it off the board. But guaranteed, they can see when there's a screw up, when something ain't right. You know why? Because it matters. I'm gonna tell you something. This could screw up everything in Vegas for them, for college sports, because Vegas is not going to put something out there for you to bet on that you can then come back at them and say that, well, how did I lose? I don't believe in the outcome of this game, and so I want my money back. That's not the business that they're going to be in. I guarantee it. That's not the business that they're going to be in. The ramifications of this ruling right here go far beyond Texas Tech winning and losing fucking football games this year. Far beyond that. No, you know what? That's bullshit too. SEC has been engaging in this type of conduct for a half a century, and they're the only ones. Are you joking? Are you joking? Because because Ole Miss and Mississippi State got caught? And there's rumors about this and rumors about that. Everybody has been paying players for a century. Decades upon decades upon decades. And newsflash, the Big 12 was no less guilty than the SEC or the Big 10 or anybody else. Look at everything that's been going on with Michigan for the last few years. We're going to sit here and say that it's just the one school that's doing it because they got caught. Guess what? Everybody likes to do that, but Ohio State was colluding with Purdue, Iowa, another couple of schools in the Big Ten, and they were giving each other the signs for Michigan too. Nobody likes to talk about that part of it. That shit was going on as well. All these things happen. I'm not saying that there's things that are not on the up and up when it comes to how you paid players or whatever. In my opinion, players should have been getting paid above the board for a long damn time. The rules were being broken by the universities. The rules that are out there are university rules. The NCAA's rules. The players have not had a single. I'm the one dude out here that is always pro the side of the athletes. I'm always on the side of the athletes when it comes to this stuff. This is the one thing that I tell you that there's no way that this kid should ever play another down in college football. Period. End of story. And there's no way that Texas Tech should have found their way to back this kid up on this thing, because it's about the integrity of the entire sport. It's bigger than Texas Tech. And yes, Cincinnati ought to be in trouble too, as should Indiana. I don't know how much Indiana knew about it. But there's no way in hell that you can say that you can do that. Yeah, that was part of it. They caught people doing that, Hank. He had his brother-in-law had a account apparently with $90,000 in it that he had access to that online account and he could make bets through that account so it wasn't attached to him. He had lots of family members making bets for him. He got caught. Hell, Hunter Deckers got busted doing one $15 bet in a bar with a drunk ass from Iowa, and he's out forever. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be out forever. You don't bet on your own sport. It's the one thing that everybody, every sport around the globe knows that this is the one line you don't cross with your sport, period. Except for those down in Lubbock at Texas Tech. Unbelievable. No, he's going to play. There's nothing. It'll take way too long, Benji, for them to do anything about this. And by then, it'll be too long, too late. What they have to do, I mean, look, moving forward, if you don't have collective bargaining here where you can find a way to not have some fucking idiot judge make a decision like this that could ruin the entire integrity and kill the golden goose. We're talking about money and all this other shit, and that's why every other decision gets made in college football is about money, right? We all know that. That money's about to dry up now. This could be the one thing that kills the sport because fans won't trust it, and they're going to stop spending their hard-earned money on it. They're going to stop watching it on television, investing their time and their money into these games. Maybe not all of them, but we're talking about what, the number 2 league in America as far as money's concerned, how much money it makes. More than the NBA, more than Major League Baseball, more than hockey. It's football. But if you can't trust it, then I would tell you that I think that the biggest reason that Sorsby was fighting it so hard at Texas Tech was because he knew that I don't think that the NFL was just going to bring him in through the supplemental draft or anything else. He may have never played again. This is wild, man. It's just crazy to me. With gambling and corruption? What are you talking about? Bro. Pete Rose. There you go. Yeah, Pete Rose, anyone? There you go. Shoeless Joe. Pete Rose, they knew what he was gambling. They had all the records of it. He was gambling on his team to win games. They were one of the best teams in the country, in Major League Baseball at the time. He's still not in the damn hall. He was banned from baseball till the end. He was a great manager at that. Nobody was able to do it. All the hand-wringing about, he's paid his dues and blah, blah, blah. He paid for his sins, all that shit. Nope. They wouldn't allow it. Because why? Because you can't take that chance on somebody who's already done it. And like Mr. Mason said last week a couple of different times that I've heard him say it, this is like, if you're talking about that he's an addict, and all signs would point to he is. The guy was gambling on Turkish basketball and shit. Games that he probably didn't even know how it worked with cricket and things like that. He's gambling on stuff all over the globe because he bet 10,000 times in 4 years. Do you know how much that is? The money part doesn't really matter. The fact that number of wagers, it would tell me that, yes, he's probably an addict. But now you're going to send him back to the thing that gives him the anxiety that apparently supports his gambling addiction? His anxiety about football? Make it make sense. Irreparable harm. What the fuck? I think you're irreparably harming him by sending him right back into it. Right after rehab. Would you give an alcoholic would their, post-rehab job be a bartender job? God, it's so wild. What about the other guy? But you got caught, didn't you? Yes, that's the point. And that's what I love it. Like, I can't believe that Cody really sat there and he's going to, just like a Texas Tech guy did a week ago on Twitter. I thought it might have been a fucking bot for all I knew. Bring up Joe Mixon and hitting that girl in that bar. How many of us are going to sit here and say what he did was okay just because we're Sooner fans? But at least whatever you want to say about that, and I'll say this about anybody who goes through some kind of punishment, sequence of punishment, and he was out for a long time and had to go through a lot of things in order to get himself back into being able to even play at Oklahoma, wherever it may have been. These things happen different places too. But comparing what's going on with Brendan Sorsby to Joe Mixon and him, I mean, he had to go through courts and legal troubles and everything else, that everything that went with that, pay fines, didn't he go to jail for a time? Probation, everything else. He had probation with the school. All kinds of shit hoops that he had to jump through to prove that he deserved a second chance. Brendan Sorsby, 2 weeks after he knows that the allegations are out there, decides, hey, we're going to try to sweep this under the rug by going to rehab. And again, I believe he probably has an addiction. I believe that he probably does. But I don't think that he was sorry for doing it. He was sorry for getting caught. And in doing that, now this, 35 days of sitting in a rehab talking about what it is that triggers you into gambling, and you get 2 games, non-conference games out, and games that you shouldn't have a chance to lose anyway if you're Texas Tech. It's crazy shit, man. Yeah. He may as well. Cody Campbell blaming a broken system being the problem. Yeah, he's part of that broken ass system. Oh, that's good news. Good to know, fathead. In my 45 years plus of watching sports, there are at least 2 or 3 players in each league that have been banned. Okay. Cowpoke. This kind of shit is what makes it. You should be attacking the Big 12 right now. If anybody, look, I have a problem with Tech fans being okay with this. There's no way that Cody or you or any other Big 12 fan of another fucking school should be okay with what just happened. You should not be okay with it. Don't you guys have to play Tech this year? How is it that Cody and you aren't standing on a fucking table right now too? Ooh. That's pretty good, Cole. That's pretty good. I don't even know if I can get into that shit. I have no Benji. I'm not into the damn conversation at this point. I was going to talk about the fantasy CFP bracket that Josh Pate came up with on his show last night, in which you had USC coming to Norman to play Oklahoma, Tech going to Texas to play the Longhorns in the first round of the college football playoff. And how crazy that would be. And if you think it's toxic now, like if you think it's going to be toxic when LSU goes to Ole Miss this year, think about times 10 for Oklahoma if Lincoln Riley was to bring USC in. It would be nuts. But I'm not even interested in having the conversation right now. I think we could push it back a day or two. Joe did a lot of things. And you know what? He had to. And you know what? I still would have been okay if they didn't let him come back. It wouldn't have bothered me. And there's something different about going through the things those kind of things, community service, domestic violence classes, the restitution that he had to pay, I'm sure, to the family. Nobody talks about what, not everything that you saw. I mean, he didn't hit her first. I'm not okaying what he did because it wasn't okay. He could have killed her. But it wasn't okay what she did either. Wasn't okay what she did either. And violence is never the answer for any of that stuff. But again, I would tell you that we've all made mistakes in life. Some people get away with not having to pay for them at all. And this kid is getting away with not having to pay for that mistake. And it's at the expense of the entire sport. To hell with the Big 12 or the SEC or the Big 10. None of that. This doesn't have to do with a conference. This has to do with one school and one player that believe that they're above all of that shit. They're above the Big 12 as far as they're concerned. Cowpoke? Above the Big 12. You think that you can't compete now, money-wise? Wait till the money completely dries up because nobody believes in your sport enough to even watch it. When people stop going to the games because they don't believe in it. See? Shit like this. Exactly, 47 straight. Now we see why the WWE partnered with the Big 12. Man, I said this already. If you don't have the fans' belief, if the fans do not believe in your sport, you don't have a sport. You have sports entertainment. You have the WWE. We all know that it's predetermined who's going to win every match. Every match. If that's what they think about every football game or every basketball game or every softball game, then we no longer have sports that are able to be watched on the same level. So nuts. Yep. The spray thing might actually get some things changed in college. What? What spray thing? What are you talking about? Yeah, well, the one, I can't believe that he actually believed that Lincoln would go in and win that game with USC. I'll tell you that part. That would be the most toxic environment any team has ever had to deal with ever when they got there. Oh, I think Lincoln might just not show up or something like that. It wouldn't work out good. No, yeah. He'd get bricks thrown at his head. No doubt. Listen, don't start. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not, just so we all understand, I'm not defending Joe Mixon and his actions that day. Not. I've never done it. Never done it. I think that people are redeemable. I think that you should have to go through things to get that redemption, though. Second chances are cool. But this is the one, what we're talking about with gambling is the one, do not pass go, do not collect $200, end of the road in college, in every sport. Every sports league, whether it's amateur or professional, around the world knows this. That this is your one unequivocal, this rule cannot be broken. Every sports league knows it because it's about the integrity of their league. They understand that. And here we are, this judge, you can't err on this side of things. You just can't. I don't know what we can do to unscrew this thing. I really don't. And look, if Texas Tech was in the SEC, I'd be saying the same shit. How dare you put your one season and this guy above the entire sport? For Cody Campbell, the sport that you played under Coach Leach. I guarantee you Coach Leach should be saying the same shit right now. And he wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And he would not have been okay with this. Oh. Coming from Jeffrey Kessler, it's just a result. It is just a result. Brennan gets to devote himself to his team and the education of athletes on the dangers of gambling addiction. He will continue his treatment, miss 2 games, and there is no injury to the competitive integrity of the NCAA. Bullshit. It is what we proposed and what the NCAA should have accepted had it been true to its promises to prioritize the welfare of athletes. What about the welfare? If the athletes don't have a sport to play, what does it matter? Prioritizing the athletes should have been all of the athletes' priority over one athlete's priority. Unbelievable. Do I think this might motivate some changes in the college football? I think it could. I heard guys like, Andy and Ari were talking about it along with, I think it was Ross Dellinger and what's the other guy's name that's on that show with them? He's pretty wild too, but they were all talking about that this might be the one thing that causes them to have to do collective bargaining because then you get this allows you to get your antitrust protection if you're the NCAA. Because the one thing we know will give you the antitrust protection is to give the players, a vote in all of these things that we're talking about and all the rules being made. And no players union would be against that rule. No players union would be against that. Because it behooves the players themselves to have a clean sport when it comes to gambling and stuff like that. This is where, again, I love Cody to death. He is completely being short-sighted about this. Just like Texas Tech has completely been short-sighted about this. Cody Campbell saying tells you have a broken system. Yeah, you're one of the people that broke the fucker. And continuing to try to break it. What's up, Satterfield? Hankster, good to see you. Yeah, Cody lost his damn mind. No, he didn't. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, I can't tell you that I've never hit a woman in my life. Wouldn't do it. Do I understand that, you know, I watched the video. I think that, you know, she attacked him like she was a man. It was the wrong thing for her to do as well. But you still can't make that mistake. What he did, though, is he still had to pay a price for that. He lost time. He lost money getting drafted as well because of that. He was a surefire first-round pick. Didn't go in the first round. When did he go? It was like third or fourth, fifth round, something like that. He lost money for it. You paid a price. I'm not saying it was enough, because I don't know that I would have ever brought him back. But I also would agree with, look, if he goes on and he changes from it, then that's different. This is a situation where, how can you expect that Brendan Sorsby is going to actually learn anything from what just happened other than I can get away with whatever the fuck I want? I'm attacking Texas Tech only. Calpo Cranch. Texas Tech only. When people come in and say the things like what Cody was just saying, that he's good with it. One hand, he says it's not okay for a gambler to be playing, and then he says it's not Texas Tech's fault that they backed him up. Everybody would have. I would hope that that's not the case. And in fact, I told him, I don't think that Oklahoma State should have. I don't think that they would have. I've watched them discard players before. We've seen every university discard players that probably, maybe they deserved a second chance in some way, shape, or form. Including Texas Tech, by the way. I covered Texas Tech for 7 years as a reporter at a number of different newspapers at the start of my career. I've seen them do some other things that I would be, it surprises me that they backed this up. At an institutional level, they backed it up. Fans are fans, right? But I expect better from Cody. I expect better from Cody as a voice for the Big 12 and being on the side of the Big 12. Be on the side of the Big 12 by being on the right side of this and protecting the Big 12 against shit like this from Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. He asked me what I think about Cincinnati. Yeah, they should be in trouble too. They played him knowing what he had done. Oh. No. I would tell again, I'm going to tell you one more time that they tried to pay Mike Leach his money. They tried to pay him more than what he was owed. So, and all he had to do was shut up and not continue doubling down on that. He made it to where, here's where I will back up Texas Tech on firing Mike Leach. And here's a point. They knew that they had to discipline him for what he did with Craig James's kid. Isn't it Cody James? I think his name was Cody too. He had to. They had to do something. But they didn't have to fire him until he continued to double down on it and dared them to do so. They did. They had to, but they were going to pay. I know a lot of people want to sit here and put that on Tech, the administration at Tech, for doing the wrong thing because they love the Pirate. I love the Pirate, okay? He kind of put himself in that position. Period. He put himself in that position. Tech will be left out of any kind of Super League after this crap. Yeah. Yeah. They better do something. No matter what happens in their season this year, they should not play in the playoff because of it. They should be able to get their way around that. And you know what? The money that they're spending on lobbyists and all this other bullshit, they should be willing to spend the money to fight that in court if that's what it comes to. Just don't consider them for the CFP. And if the Big 12 really cares about its league, it will suspend them from playing for the Big 12 championship too. Every game that dude plays should be forfeited because it's against the NCAA rules. You have to make it bad for Texas Tech to get this right. Just like what they were talking about, if you screw around. Now, right now, here's what, if I was one of the schools, if I was in charge of one of these schools that needed a quarterback right now, I would absolutely go and find one and get one of these guys that isn't going to win his job, like at Alabama, Austin Mack, or I guess it could be Keelan Russell. It'll be Austin Mack. I'd be going after him if I needed a quarterback right now and offering him whatever the fuck I could and then daring the NCAA to actually do what they say they're going to do because I'll take you to court about it. And guess what? I will win. You can gamble. We could do this too. Your rules mean nothing. Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, there you go. And that's, look, as a player, as, you know, a coach, I mean, how can you trust him if you're his offensive coordinator and he doesn't run the play right, which we know happens? How can you trust that it's not because, you know, somebody approached him about, you know, you can win, just, you know, don't cover. I've got $1 million on you throwing 2 interceptions. Make sure you throw 2 instead of 1. Win the game, but make sure you throw 2. The integrity of the game is at stake here. What's up, sharpshooter? Good to see you, my guy. Nothing's good right now. This is terrible. Terrible. You got time to come in and talk about it? If not, I'm going to get off here. I've been going 2 hours talking about this one fucking subject. He should never play college football again, and he's going to play this year. Look, I don't know what could be done legally. To me, I think the NCAA has to, I think that the college football playoff, somebody has to take a stand here and be willing to bite the bullet and go through the court process that you have to go through. Forfeit every fucking game he plays. If you're the Big 12, do not allow them to win your conference championship or be in the playoff. Don't allow it. If you care about the integrity of the sport, you do it. The integrity of your league. Because guess what? Capo Cranes, you're talking about attacking the rest of the Big 12, The rest of the Big 12 needs to stand up for itself here against one of its members who's screwing up their good name. Starts with Brett Yormark, and it goes throughout the rest of the league. Something has to happen here, though. No problem, bro. No problem. I figured you were at work. I thought they already won. Did they? Oh, did it? It was in lightning delay, but they were winning already huge, weren't they? S4L? He was. Until the court said otherwise. No, Cody doesn't agree with that 100%. No, he doesn't. That's not what he just said. Go back and listen to what he just said, Cowpoke. He believes that they should have stood up for him, and he believes that everybody would have. And he's okay with it. That's not what Cody's saying. Norman's snoring over there, Snake. All right. I got love for Cody, man, but I'm never, we're not on the same page here. And I think he needs to rethink his position on it. Because this is it, you look, it's bad for the Big 12. It's really bad for Texas Tech, but the Big 12 needs to stand against it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what, they got suspended. I knew that they were beating the shit out of them. They were bombing them out. It'll be a sweep, right? They will have swept them. Shout out to Skip and the Sooners, man. Going to Omaha. Good for them. That's awesome stuff. Unless something crazy happens. But then it'd be another game, wouldn't it? Because they were up 1-0 in the series. And rest in peace to Stacey King. Hated hearing about that last night as well. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Love Stacey King. He's one of the all-time greats at Oklahoma basketball. And good dude, man. I met him a couple of times covering the league and covering like Big 12 tournaments and stuff like that. Saw him around a few different times. He was really good as a broadcaster too, man. He's done a really good job. He was a local broadcaster for the Bulls, but love Stacey King. Hate that. No, I'm saying it's bad for I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you that it's bad for the game completely. This is the kind of thing that kills your sport completely. But it's bad for the Big 12, and the Big 12 has to stand up here. They should not allow Texas Tech to win any games that he plays. They should not allow Texas Tech to represent their conference as a conference champion or even to play for the conference championship as long as that kid's playing. End of story. Yeah, go back and listen because he didn't misspeak. I gave him plenty of opportunities to do that. And I love Cody. You know that, Cowpoke. We disagree on things, but this is unbelievable. I mean, look, anybody who's on the wrong side of this, I would just have the same. I wouldn't have been as nice as I just was to Cody. I love the dude to death. You know that I do. I'm not okay with this. And nobody should be. If you love this game, you should not be okay with this kid playing. Oh, man. Yes, sir. Correct. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks a lot for coming in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll get back into that conversation. Maybe I'll pop back in. I don't know that we'll be able to, listen, I'll be back on Wednesday night. We won't talk about it then, but on Wednesday night, I'm going to have M3 Maze Madman from the Michigan Creator coming on to talk about a lot of this stuff, I'm sure we'll actually have this conversation about Brendan Sorsby with him as well. This is not going to go away anytime soon. But we'll talk about their chances of making the playoff. I've got them as my first 4 out in the top 12 plus rankings. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday night. It comes on at what? It'd be 8:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Central, right here on Hall of Fame College Football. Make sure you tune back in. We'll see you all in the next one.